Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. So, I have read the 3-part short story, Their Secret Song, for the new hero skin for Orochi that came out, Yoshiro the Damned. If you have not heard the 3-part story yet, go listen to me read it on a video I just released not too long ago, or go check out the Ubisoft website where you can read it for yourself. Here we are going to discuss and analyze and review it. That is the goal of this video. And there's no way I can say this kindly, so let's just say it. This has got to be one of the most rushed, sloppily handled, and poorly managed stories the dev team has given us in a while. Please don't take this to mean that I hate the team, or that I hate the game, or that I even hate the hero skin. I have the utmost respect for the dev team. I still love this game, and the hero skin looks awesome, but this story was awful, okay? But you know what? Okay, time out. No, we're not going to go there yet. Let's start with the positives. There are good things to say. I've got good things to say about this story, so let's start there. Number one, I like the fact that it did good foreshadowing to what Lady Saori was. If you look at the story of Lady Saori and how it built up and hinted at the coming of the Jorogumo, this story delivered. It was revealed Lady Saori is the Jorogumo, so that is good. It did well there. Also, I do like that it dives a little bit more into the Momono Dagger and what it does to the user. We got a little bit of that with Maiko. We get more of that here with Yoshiro, although I would argue that they don't seem to match very well in what they do. But you know what? We'll save that for later. But I'm glad that we see a little bit more of the Momono Dagger. That's good. And I think the best thing I can say about the story, honestly, is the lullaby. I did not realize that this lullaby that's talked about in the story is actually the music we hear in the opening theme and at the menu screen. That singer we hear, she's singing the lullaby in Japanese. That's cool. I thought, okay, that's kind of neat. I didn't realize that. Applaud. No, really, that's good. That's creative. I'm down with that. That is a cool direction to take. And so, all in all, I can say those are some good things to say about the story. But that's it. Okay, so now that we've gotten the positives out of the way, let's talk about the rest. Okay, so genuinely, I'm trying so hard to think about the best way to approach this. Let's start with this. There are two ways to look at the story. One, as its standalone, by itself story, or as a continuation of Saori's lore and Maiko's lore. But let's be kind and start by just looking at as its standalone story, okay? Ignoring Maiko, ignoring Saori, let's just look at this as Yoshiro's own lore. Okay. So Yoshiro shows up at Castle Chiyo, which has been overrun by yokai-possessed people. These people have been killed and possessed by yokai, and he's trying to slay them, but he can't. His katana is pretty much useless until he feels the pull of the Momono Dagger. He whips that out, slices open the neck of the seamstress, and kills her, which he did not expect to happen. He had no idea that this dagger could do it. All right, we're already hitting two problems. The first one is, where was Yoshiro this whole time? We know, okay, I said that I was looking at this as just his own story, but we have to acknowledge this. We know that he was not with his father, because he says that he wishes he could have been at the Imperial Palace with his father. And we also know he wasn't at home because he resents the fact that his mother always puts him on guard duty, where she always feeds him very pampered lunches and always dotes on him and takes good care of him. So he left to try and prove himself somehow, but where? What did he do? Why was he gone? Why did he come back? What was his goal? To quote, I'll say it, your guess is as good as mine. We don't know what he was doing. What was he trying to do? What was he trying to accomplish? He wants to prove himself. How? How was he trying to prove himself? We don't know. We don't know what he was trying to accomplish. Then he comes back and he has the Momono Dagger with him, and he says it's a family heirloom, but he had no idea it could kill yokai. This is mind-blowing to me. You had no idea your family heirloom could kill yokai. Okay, why were you carrying it? And how do you not know this? The dagger was designed to kill yokai and absorb their essence, and you're telling me you had no idea. And you might say, oh, well, he maybe didn't care. He says he carries it to honor his family legacy. And the samurai, as a culture, value lineage. They value their ancestry. A lot of their weapons and armor and tools carry weight and stories and legacy. Hell, the samurai believe so firmly that items have souls in them that many of their yokai, they believe, are corrupted kami within the item because the item was misused, and so now they lash out at people. You're telling me this dude carried around his family heirloom dagger to honor the legacy, but he didn't know what the dagger could do? Are you kidding me? You had no idea what it... Now, one thing you could argue is, how about he pulled the dagger because the dagger led him to do it. The dagger possessed him a little bit or encouraged him to do it. And yeah, the story does encourage that. It says that the dagger kind of pushed him to do that. Okay, fine. But he still chose to carry it, which means he chose to honor the legacy of his family. You mean there was never a moment where his father showed him the dagger as a child and said, let me tell you the story of this dagger and what it means to our family. Let me tell you how we got this dagger. Most family heirlooms in most families have a story behind them. So you never knew the story of what this dagger could do. Really? Okay, fine, whatever. So, no idea what the dagger could do, but now he's learned it can kill yokai. But then the minute he kills the seamstress yokai, it corrupts his arm instantly. He feels his arm being corrupted and mutilated and turned into this demonic red arm. And he says, this is what gets me. He says that a younger Yoshiro would have welcomed this mysterious power regardless of the cost. No hesitation. But I'm not that young boy anymore. That's pretty much what he says at the end of part 1. And here again, we reach another problem. Okay, Yoshiro, cool. Who were you? Who is that little boy Yoshiro? Who is young Yoshiro? Why would young Yoshiro have accepted this, but you are hesitant? See, you say that and it sounds like a cool line, but without context of who you were, we don't understand why that's significant. It's kind of like when you look at characters like Harry Potter or Luke Skywalker and see how they changed from their first movie to their last movie and see how they've evolved. You know why older Luke or older Harry would or would not have done what younger Luke or younger Harry would have done. Here, older Yoshiro is saying younger Yoshiro would have accepted this no matter what. Your evidence being what? We don't know anything about young Yoshiro or what he did. So this line lacks context to make it more meaningful. But you can save that if you bring up younger Yoshiro in future parts, like in part 2 or part 3. But in part 2, we don't get that. In part 2, we see him hearing the lullaby of his mother. And again, I like the lullaby. It's a cool addition, but it's coming from the mouths of more demon-possessed yokai, many of whom, he acknowledges, were old allies and friends of his. Then he starts hearing these voices in his head saying, you're stronger than they are. They were weak. You're better. You're stronger. You can take them. And at first I thought, is this him? But no, it's the dagger corrupting him. It's the dagger pushing him. And you know what? I was down with that. Like I said earlier, I think that's a cool direction to take the Momono dagger, where it's so bloodthirsty for yokai. It craves yokai blood so vehemently. It actually directs you to try to fight them. It encourages you to try to destroy them. This is kind of what I wanted from the Masamune blade, or the Muramasa blade that we got with the Master Katashi season. That would have been such a cool direction if we did that with the Muramasa blade. But no, we're doing it with the Momono dagger blade. Okay, cool. I'm down with that. It contradicts what we know about Maiko's lore, but you know what? We're not talking about Maiko's lore right now. We'll come back to that. So he's being led to slay these yokai because the dagger's basically leading him to do it, almost possessing him to do it. He only feels whole when he's holding the dagger, only feels pure when he's driving it into the hearts of the yokai. This is what he does now. And you know what? That's cool. That's a cool direction to take. That he's slowly giving in to the dagger's influence. We don't see him resist it, though, which is a little weird. I mean, you don't have to do that, but I feel like he should be resisting it a little bit. And then I thought, okay, but no, part 3 is where he's going to resist it. Part 3 is going to be it. So we enter part 3, and he confronts the Jorogumo. And when he sees the Jorogumo, this is the part that I thought, okay, this is where shit hits the fan. You know, we hear the full lullaby, or at least the full first part of the lullaby. We see the Jorogumo, he sees the Jorogumo, and it looks like his mom. It's singing a song that only his mom would know. And his first thought is denial. He goes, how dare you? You're just trying to take my mother's likeness and sing her song because you're trying to manipulate me. It won't work. This is an insult. And I thought, Awesome. This is good. He's in denial. He's looking at the obvious right in front of him and he's denying it. That's good. I like that. I get that. And I thought we'd get this whole thing of the yokai talking to him saying, oh, but I am your mother. Don't you recognize me? Oh, I'm hurt. How could you not remember me? Very much like that episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Yugi is facing off against the ghost of Kaiba and the ghost of Kaiba keeps like taunting Yugi. I thought that's kind of what we were going to get. Say what you want about 4Kids Yu-Gi-Oh! That was a creative moment and could be horrific if handled right, but I digress. So I thought that's what we were going to get. Instead, he charges at his mom. She knocks him aside, breaking his neck. He lands on the ground, sees his corrupted face in a puddle, and then he realizes, oh, wait, no, that is my mom, and I'm corrupted. What? You couldn't... What did seeing your own face reveal to you? Like, how did that suddenly make you go, oh, well, that's my mom? How did that work? I thought what she might do is she might take off her mask and reveal her face. Or you might have a moment where Saori comes out, like the original Saori steps out and says, no, run away, child, run away, don't come here. Like you could hear maybe Saori fighting against the Jorogumo, these two personalities warring for control, and maybe Saori goes, son, kill me, you have to kill me. You know, you could have a really meaningful moment. And in contrast, you could have a meaningful moment with Yoshiro. He's struggling against the influence of the dagger. He's struggling against this dagger that says, kill it, it's the demon, it's the yokai, I want to take its soul, I want to take its essence, you need me to kill it. And Yoshiro could go, but it's my mom, I can't kill my mom. You know, you could have this really cool moment of these two sides clashing. The demon wanting to kill him, the mother wanting to stop the demon, the dagger wanting to slay the demon, but Yoshiro wanting to spare his mother. You could have a really gripping fight of wills here. And then have them all in agreement at one point where the dagger recognizes you have to kill her to save your mother. He realizes I have to kill her to avenge my mother. The mother holding back the Jorogumo just briefly to say, do it, please just do it. And then doing the deed. And I thought that'd be so gripping. Instead, no, not even kidding. Instead, sees his face, realizes that's my mom, and then cowabunga it is. And then he just says, goodbye, mother, dives in, goes for the kill. I'm like, there was no battle of wills, there was no frustrations, there was no questioning, there was no hesitation, there was no, what do I do? My mom's the monster. And that's why the monster knows her lullaby. That's why I keep hearing it in my head. No moment of the dagger saying, you have to kill her. No, I can't kill her. She's my mother. Do you realize what your mother's become? No, I can't do this. What would father say? Your father's not here because he's weak. No, I can't do it. Or no moment of the mother saying, please, you have to kill me. No moments of taunting where the Jorogumo says, don't you know I'm your mother? Won't you be good to your mother and come home to me? Don't you want me to hug you and embrace you? Like, you look so cute, I could eat you up. None of that, just cowabunga it is. Goodbye, mother. And then kills. Now, the lore tries to say, for every fierce lesson on being a warrior from my father, my mother taught me 2 lessons on being compassionate. And my thought is, that's so sweet, that's so awesome. Presenting facts, not an evidence. What compassionate lessons did you learn? What did she teach you? Wouldn't that be something that you feel conflicted with? The warrior in you says to kill the threat. The compassionate one in you says to try to reach the mother within. Couldn't you have a moment where maybe you try to reach your mother and say, Mom, don't you recognize me? And then you could either have a moment where Saori kind of breaks through and says, I do, please, you have to kill me. Or you could have a moment where the Jorogumo pretends to fall for it, but then says, are you kidding? Like, you could have some really cool moments here. That's such a cool concept of having a man resisting the urge to kill the demon because he knows the demon is his mother. The mother taken by a monster trying to reach her son to do the ultimate sacrifice. But there was no hesitation. There was no questioning. It was just, well, yes, I got to do this. Bye, Mom. And I know you could make the argument, he was doing it out of love for his mother. He didn't want his mother to be a monster. He was giving her mercy. You know, maybe it's just me, admittedly. But if my mom turned into a horrible spider monster, I think I'd be sad and upset and scared first, asking, is there any way to fix her? Is there anything I can do for her? Can I somehow reach her? Then once all those have been exhausted, then I can say, okay, all right, cowabunga it is. And just go for it. I don't know. I felt like That's why I said that this felt rushed. And not just in terms of that, but in the whole thing. If you actually look at the chapters, if you actually go to the webpage and look at the chapters, the first 2 parts of this story are so short, while the third part is so long. You could have dragged this out a bit. The whole thing took me about 10 to 11 minutes to read. You could have made this a 20 or 30 minute long story. I wouldn't have minded. I would have read it. How short do you think my attention span is? Draw this out. Make this gripping. You've got a cool setup here. But Yoshiro's story on its own doesn't work. But it gets worse when you add Saori and Maiko into the mix. Let's start with Maiko. When Maiko used the dagger, it established that she was trying to resist the influence of the yokai. Every yokai she killed, she felt it within her, fighting against her, trying to convince her to stop, trying to convince her to let them take over. And she had to constantly fight and resist. When she finally slays the Jorogumo, she feels it inside her too. And now she's got all these yokai within her warring for control, warring to take over her. So she tells her brother, please seal me away so that I won't get loose. Because if I do, I know these yokai will take me over and get loose again. So she has to get sealed up. In that story, it was the yokai who were trying to control her, and she resisted them. In this story, it's not the yokai, it's the dagger trying to control Yoshiro. So which is it? Is it the dagger trying to control the user, or is it the yokai that they slay? I'm fine with either one. I think both are creative, but this is bad continuity. Speaking of continuity, what happened at the end? Did Yoshiro kill his mother? Did he absorb her essence? If he did, then how did his mother get sealed away to be released in Maiko's story? Because in Maiko's story, the yokai were sealed away deep in the mire. Somehow the seal broke and all the yokai got out. Here, it says that he attacked and beat his mom. Did he take in her essence? Did he seal himself away? No, actually, according to his own words, that's not what he says. According to his own words, if I recall correctly, I actually wrote it down here. It says that day the lady of Castle Chiyo was served by the mercy she was renowned for. If her heart remained, I left it untouched, yet my hesitation ceased there, and I would see the demon vanished. With by a mere glance, I have no doubt others would wish the same fate upon me. Should the dagger further instill my mind with madness and defile my body with perverse corruption, I would not stop them. So he clearly killed his mother to show her mercy. That's fine. But then he went about his merry way and said that people would look at him in his deformed body and just say he should be killed too. And he says, if the dagger continues to mess with me and change me, then maybe I should let them. That doesn't answer the question. Did you seal yourself away? How did we get from you to Maiko? That's a question of continuity. And I wouldn't treat that as a big deal, really. Honestly, those are minor nitpicks. That's fine. Because to be perfectly honest, you could argue that the legend of Maiko is just that, a legend. And so maybe there wasn't a sealed location. Maybe that's just what people assumed. Maybe he did seal himself up later when he started to feel himself losing his battle. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe we can work with that. But then bring it around to Lady Saori and it still gets worse. The lullaby thing. I've been praising the lullaby, but now we got to talk about why it doesn't work. You want to know something missing from Saori's legend? No lullaby. Not even a mention of it. As a matter of fact, Yoshiro is only mentioned in passing. You know, everyone kept saying, the new hero skin coming is going to be Katsuo, the bad guy, or it's going to be her husband. Very few said it was going to be the son. I assumed it was going to be the son because of how vague his description was. Literally all it said in her lore was she had the letter from her son Yoshiro about how he had left the castle and how she was glad he wasn't here to be part of this. And that's when I knew Yoshiro's the next hero skin. That's when I knew. Because that was about as subtle as it can get. You don't mention Yoshiro once, then out of nowhere. By the way, it's kind of like random NPC. You know that joke from Legend of Aventris where it's like, the carnival can't run without that guy's pocket watch. Hope he never loses that thing.
The carnival can't run without Mr. Witch's pocket watch. I hope he never loses that thing.
Did we just encounter random NPC dialogue?
We're not the specific.
I told you about the carnival.
There is dark times these days. I hope the king doesn't come ill. a while. And
Sure is dark time these days. Sure, the king doesn't come in.
stay a while and listen.
Sure is dark time.
It's like just random NPC dialogue. That's what it felt like. Like you have this whole story of intrigue, of this enemy daimyo breaking through to destroy you. By the way, Yoshiro's not here. I hope he's okay. Back to the story. You just had to throw that name in there to say, oh yeah, Yoshiro, he's a thing. Quickly add his name. No mention of what the letter said about where he was going or what he was doing, but hey, Yoshiro got mentioned. Now he's connected to the next piece of lore. Wouldn't it be nice if she sang the lullaby before she died? Or maybe she heard the lullaby in her head while she was in her dream state? Tie the lullaby to Saori and Yoshiro in both stories. That would have been a lot better and a lot more meaningful. I think that would have hit a lot better. Maybe hint that she knew something about the Momono dagger, something her son didn't know. Like maybe her son never knew the story of the dagger because she never told him. Maybe she comes from a family of demon slayers and they seal demons within her, and maybe that's why she knows something bad is happening. Actually, you know what? I just thought of this while I was recording. I literally just thought of this. What happened to Katsuo? The story of Saori ends with Katsuo cornering her, but then we don't hear anything else about him. What happened? I assume he died, but we don't hear anything else. The more I read this, the more I look over my notes on this, the more I'm like, this story, as a standalone story and in correlation with the other stories related to it, Maiko's story and Saori's story, it doesn't hold water. It feels rushed. It feels like they were just trying to get this out really quickly. It feels like you had two different writers. It's like they said, okay, you write Saori's story, you write Yoshiro's story, finish your stories, and then we'll just release them. And it was kind of like they just trusted each other to handle certain aspects. Like the person writing Yoshiro's story just said, I'm sure the guy writing Saori's story will bring up the lullaby. I'm sure that he won't forget that. And the person writing Saori's story, I'll just write in Yoshiro really quickly. I don't want to give away too much about that right now. And I felt like, they needed to collab a little bit or talk with each other. Look, there are ways this story could have been not only good, but gripping. There are ways you could have made this story absolutely phenomenal. Mention the lullaby in Saori's story. Give a little bit of context to who Yoshiro was and how she treated Yoshiro in Saori's story. Have us know a bit more about the boy who was Yoshiro. Tell us where the Momono dagger came from and why it's significant, and maybe reveal why Yoshiro doesn't know its origins. Explain the relation to Saori and the Jorogumo. Why is she the Jorogumo? Why isn't she some other yokai? Why did she become a yokai? I would love a little bit of information on that. Maybe you could reveal that, like I said earlier, their family was a bunch of demon slayers. They were demon hunters. Back in the old land of the samurai, back in the original island of Japan, when they came to the mire, their family helped to fight against the yokai of the mire and make it safe for people to live in. Her family were the original owners of Castle Chio. They lived in the mire before the samurai arrived, and maybe she fell in love with and married someone in the family, or her ancestor did, and she forgot for a while that she was a yokai, and now she's been revealed to be a yokai. There are ways you could have done this to make it not only good, but emotionally gripping. Instead, we got this story that I want to like it. I want to say good things about it, because I'm looking beneath the crust and I'm seeing something amazing underneath. I'm seeing something really strong here. But for what it is, it feels so weak. As Yoshiro's standalone story, it leaves a lot of questions that need answers. And as a story that combines Saori and Maiko's story with the Momono dagger, it feels like they just... Good thing the hero skin looks good. I wish I could say more positive. I don't like being this guy. I don't like being the negative Nancy. I don't like the one saying, this was done bad, this should have been better. I don't like doing that. I want to talk about how awesome the stories are and how great the lore is, but this was just awful. Well, that's my analysis. Hey, you know what? Here's a question for you guys. Here's a question. I may release this in a poll. Should I do a rewrite of this? Should I rewrite Saori's lore and Yoshiro's lore, kind of like what I did with the Houndmaster lore for Dead by Daylight? Should I do that? Let me know if you think I should do that, because I don't want to step on toes, but I think if you gave me a week or two, I could come up with something, you know? So let me know in the comment section. Would love to hear your thoughts. And if you hate me for this, feel free to hate me, but those are just my thoughts. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Take care, guys.